Okay, working on chapter 2 of my book, We Aren't Going Back, A History of Women's Social Progress Over 200 Years. Let's take a brief look at women's education, women's social reform, and women's work in the 1800s in the United States. Okay, women's education. Have you ever wondered why your mom doubled as your first teacher? In the late 19th century, women were tasked with a unique responsibility. They were expected to educate their sons to become future public citizens and their daughters to become the educators of the next generation. Think of it as an assembly line of knowledge where mothers played a pivotal role. Take Catharine Beecher. She lived in the 1800s from 1800 to 1878, and Mary Lyon, who lived from 1797 to 1849, for instance. They were not just mothers and teachers, but also school founders. They were the architects of education, laying the foundation for future generations. But here's the real game changer. In 1849, Elizabeth Blackwell, she graduated as the first woman physician in the United States. Imagine that. She was the trailblazer who broke the glass ceiling for women in the medical field. Awesome, right? And the cherry on top, just a year later, in 1850, Lucy Ann Stanton was the first African American woman who graduated from college. Talk about a seismic shift in the landscape of women's education. So next time you see your mom, give her a high five, and remember, every woman is a potential Elizabeth Blackwell ready to make history. Now, let's look at women's social reformers. Did you know that some early architects of women's rights were also actively involved in the Black activist movement in 19th century North America? Just as a tree's roots are unseen yet vital to its growth, so were these women to the cause of emancipation. Lucretia Mott, Sarah Grimke, Angelina Grimke, Lydia Maria Child, Mary Livermore, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and others played a pivotal part. Imagine a symphony where the conductor refuses to let the violins play. The music would be incomplete, wouldn't it? These ladies were in similar situations, often silenced or limited to speaking only to other women. But did they back down? No way, Jose. They turned their adversary into strength, like a blacksmith using the hottest flames to forge the strongest steel. They used their experiences to fight for women's emancipation from the separate spheres ideology, a belief that pigeonholed them into predetermined roles. Remember, it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. So next time you're feeling cornered, think of these brave women. Don't be afraid to raise your voice and make a difference. Like the proverbial butterfly effect, small actions can have a big impact. And finally, let's talk about women at work. Ever wonder who stitched the first stars and stripes of the United States flag? While the legend credits Betsy Ross, history isn't quite so sure. What we do know is that Betsy was a flag maker extraordinaire, sewing her way through the end of the 18th century. Picture her needle in hand, creating emblems of patriotism even as she navigated 3 marriages. But Betsy wasn't alone. Many women, often side by side with their husbands or fathers, or striking out solo if widowed, honed their craft in various jobs. Like bees in a hive, they worked diligently, every stitch contributing to the fabric of early American society. Then came the game changer. Ready? The sewing machine. Introduced to factories in the 1830s, it was like a comet streaking through the sky of the textile industry. Before this, sewing was a homely affair done with patience and thimbles. But now, machines hummed and clattered, weaving and sewing fabric at a pace that left the old ways in the dust. This revolution wasn't just about technology, it was also about people, especially young women from farm families. Picture them stepping out of their homes and into the mills, spending a few pre-marriage years in the industrial hustle and bustle. Take the Lowell Mills in Massachusetts, for example. These weren't just factories, they were launching pads for literary pursuits, with the rhythmic clatter of machinery providing the soundtrack. And here's the kicker. The Lowell Mills were likely the birthplace of the first women's labor union in the United States. So the next time you look at the United States flag, remember women like Betsy Ross, the unsung heroes who stitched not just flags, but also a part of our history. So That's what I read from chapter 2 of my book. If you want to learn more, please purchase the book. You can get it through Amazon or watch the next video where I go into the next bit. All right, see you in the next video. Bye.